Okay, so right now in our task list component, we have the date defined and set in the ng init. So let's make that, well, sort of a property. Let's go ahead and set date of type date, date of type date equals to new date. So this will set the date to now. So for example, 11th of August. Okay, this is the first thing we need to do. Now let's remove it from the console because we verified that it works already. Now let's set this dot date, which for sure refers to our new created field right here, and then we can remove the type. So this date equals to new date from this route dot snapshot and well, parents date. Okay, so now we have that available from outside of the ng init lifecycle method. Let's use that date field here that we have. Let's switch over to tasklist component.html. So tasklist component.html. Make sure to always be in the correct component. So not that you are now inside of the other component, our calendar component. No, you want to be in the task list component right now. Okay, and here where we get our to-do list, right below that to-do list, even before that input group here, we will now create a new input group. So let's create a div and set the class to be input group. This is just for styling, right? So input group, and inside that input group we create an input and we bind the value equals to the property date, and this will for sure automatically display the date of the property. So let's see that in action. There we go. You can see we now have the date here displayed. So we don't have that in the console anymore. We're now using data binding. We got that inside of the input field here. Now let's think about that from a user experience perspective, right? We want to allow the user to also modify the date in the task list page as he wishes. So when I'm here for 24th August and I really want to go to 26th August, for example, or another date, I don't want to go back and switch the date. No, I really want to go ahead and, well, pick a date here and then update all the values, right? So that we have two ways of switching the date. First way would be inside of the calendar page, you pick your date, and secondly would be, okay, inside of the task list, you can also pick your date. But this time we will not use the calendar UI, we will use the so-called date picker. So here at Angular Material, I just searched for date picker and you can see that it looks like this. So there is no comparison between those two elements. You know, our calendar really shows a huge UI element with all the dates and single days inside of it, right? And the date picker is really like, I click on that, I can write down a date, or I can click on that calendar icon here and then select it from here. So this is a date picker. And you can find the documentation for different date picker configurations here. And on the left side of the page, you can find other components, so you can add all of this to your Angular app. And since this course is not really about Angular Material, let's continue with the more important concepts of Angular itself. So go to tasklistcomponent.html, we're still inside of it. And here after the input value date, let's add a toggle, so mat date picker toggle, there we go. Also add the closing tag. Now switch over to task list module. So let's open it up, task list module, and let's import the mat date picker module, because we for sure need that from Angular Material date picker. Great, save it. Scroll down and in the imports, make sure to import the mat date picker module. Perfect. You can now see that the error in the task list component HTML is gone. Let's take a look at our app. Great. And you can now see that we got that calendar toggle here, right? So right now it's not doing a lot, but we will add that functionality right now. Go to the task list component HTML again. Here we got the mat date picker toggle, right? And right afterwards, we now want to go and add the mat date picker. There we go. Mat date picker. So we added the toggle button and the date picker, right? But we want the date picker to be opened by clicking the toggle button, because when I click on it right now, nothing happens. The date picker is available, right? But it's not opening. So we need to bind those two elements together so that when I click on that toggle, I want an actual date picker to get opened. So let's bind everything together. We have the date picker toggle here and the actual date picker there. And when I click on the toggle, the date picker should get opened. So inside of the input field that we have right here, we already have the value defined. That's fine, it can't stay like this. But what we also want to do is we want to define a met date picker and set the value to picker. Now for sure we need to identify what picker is, right? So go to met date picker, and as you already learned, use a local reference. So write down a hashtag and then picker. So now the name is clear. And for the met date picker toggle, we want to make sure that once we click on the toggle, the date picker gets opened. For that we use for and set the value of for to picker. Awesome. So the input field now gets controlled by the date picker. The toggle will now open up the picker, and the met date picker is now or has now a local reference or an ID set to picker. Perfect. Let's take a look again. Great, and as you can see, everything is now coming together. You can see 24th of August 2022, and when I click on that toggle, you can see the date picker is opening up. And man, that's a really nice feeling when everything is really coming together and yeah, start making sense, right? And all of this is now just handled by data binding, by combination of, well, different components and different Angular material components that we can use, just wiring them together to get a completely new functionality for our application. What a great feeling. Let's move on.